Tonight's first question comes from the subreddit Money from the user Cruisin' Coyote. Cruisin' Coyote asks, I have an extra $10,000 currently in my bank. I have two different debts that I'm considering pay off. Which should I pay off? The first debt is a credit card with a special promo rate of 0% interest until May of 2025. The amount of debt on the credit card is $10,000. The second debt is a student loan that Cruisin' Coyote believes they're currently being charged 4.5% interest, and that debt is also $10,000. So, Cruisin' Coyote wants to know, which do I pay off first? And my answer is, it depends. It depends on the following for me. Number one, do you have an emergency fund? If the answer is no, I don't have an emergency fund, I would do everything possible to keep the $10,000. And that also includes getting a promotional rate to roll that over after May of 2025 if that promo rate ends. And the reason this is so important to me is when you come across a situation like a job loss, you have to have some money, some liquidity, right? And no one, I mean, no one will loan you money if you've lost your job. So, your number one thing is to keep your lights on and a roof over your head. Now, let's assume that you have an emergency fund right now. What would I do in that scenario? Well, once again, it depends. First of all, I'm okay if you just want to pay off the credit card debt today, right? And just be done with the credit card, right? Some people sleep better at night. I'm also okay if you want to get a money market fund earning roughly 5% interest and just draw this out until May of 25 while you're getting, while you're paying 0% interest and while you're making 5% interest. Now, to some people, $200 interest, $300 interest isn't that much money, right? And I get it. They aren't interested in it. But your average American family makes $5 an hour take home after they pay all their bills. So for some people, this is 40 to 60 hours of work, right? So it depends on your situation and how well you can sleep at night. I personally would never pay that student loan down at 4.5% when I had the credit card debt out there, right? Personally, I don't pay any debt off that's below 5%. The way I look at it is that S&P on average makes roughly 10% per year in the index fund, right? So I'm happy to put my money over there and make my 5% over what I can make or what I pay on the student loan debt. Okay. The other thing, whatever helps you sleep at night is what I would do, right? And one more thing on the credit card debt. If you have not enrolled in auto pay, do that today, immediately. And the reason being is because what they want you to do is they want you to slip up and miss that payment by a week, right? Because they'd be happy to jack up your interest rate to 25% or higher, right? That's how they make their money, right? I personally pay off any credit card usage every Saturday. That's been my rule of thumb. It's what's worked well for me over the years, and I sleep really well at night. So, good luck. Cruisin' Coyote in the subreddit Money. This question comes from Delivery Equivalent 87 in the subreddit Money. My wife and I both have a 401k, but we also have a financial advisor for investing other money like IRAs and investments. Our broker charges 5.5% for incoming funds and 0.9% annual fee on that funding every year. My wife likes having the annual meeting with them to go over our financial and retirement projections. My question is, are we being charged too much? And should we look elsewhere? Well, delivery equivalent 87, I believe you're being fleeced. And here's why. When I recently transferred my 401k from Empower Retirement to Schwab, They paid me 0.4%. At the time, I could have switched it to also Robinhood who would have even paid me even more, but they would have tied up my money for like 5 years or else I'd have to pay it back. But currently Robinhood's paying 1%. Other companies will pay you to move your money to them. So why you're paying your financial advisor 5.5% for incoming funds is beyond me. That's insane. You're completely getting fleeced, right? I understand if some of you want to pay a financial planner 1% to run your portfolio, provide budgets. I get it. But a 5.5% fee for incoming funds, they should be begging you to have incoming funds. So, no, you're getting fleeced. You need to find a new financial planner, in my opinion. Where I like to personally invest my money is Charles Schwab, right? I do this because I like to invest in individual stocks and still be able to collar them with options, right? So recently I collared some NVIDIA, for instance. And basically what I'm doing when I do that is I'm buying approximately a year out. I'm buying 10% downside protection, but to get that 10% downside protection, I can only make 30% max on my upside, right? So I'm selling a call to be able to buy the put, right? It works for me. I got the idea from Mark Cuban. It's how he made a fortune on his Yahoo stock. It's a great read if you ever want to read about how Mark Cuban made a gigantic collar around his Yahoo stock and was able to then buy the Dallas Mavericks. Our next question of the night comes from the budget subreddit. The user Tier 3 Decor. Tier 3 Decor writes, I'm 23 and I have no debts besides my 2022 Honda Civic. I'm currently paying 9% interest and have a balance of $16,200. I have $10,000 in an emergency savings account, but technically I only need $8,000 for 6 months of living expenses. I do pay $500 extra each month towards the principal to get the car paid off as soon as possible. My question is, should I take out the extra $2,000 from my savings and put that towards the principal and pay down the 9% interest? Or should I leave it in savings? Well, tier 3 decor, here's what I would do. I would personally spend most of that $10,000 in emergency savings and put it towards the $16,200 debt. And here's why. You mentioned you only need $8,000 to cover 6 months of your expenses, which is great. You can make that at any fast food restaurant. So worst case scenario, you lose your job, right? Go get a job at fast food while you're looking for your new job and you can pay all your bills, right? That 9% interest, it's to me, it's huge, right? I'd want to get rid of it as soon as possible. Some of the other things, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, I just did a quick search on local credit unions. I'm out here in Jacksonville. Our local credit union, ViStar, you could refi that car for about 7% interest. You know, some of the other things that you could do, and I know a lot of people like Susie Orman would hate me for this, but do a 401k loan. Because personally, I would rather be paying myself 9% interest than the bank. So that's what I would do. Good luck. Let's switch topics and talk about the current job market. This is from the subreddit Salesforce. Stoner Riley writes, I've been working as a Salesforce developer for the past 14 years, with a solid track record of experience and expertise. However, lately I've been struggling to find a job. The offers I'm receiving are significantly lower, around half of what I was earning just a few months ago. I believe this could be due to the following factors. Number one, market saturation. Number two, companies being cautious with hiring due to budget constraints. Number three, the impact of last year's layoffs. Number four, the increasing trend of offshoring. I'm reaching out to the community for your opinions and advice. What should I do? Well, personally, what I think you should do is it's time to educate yourself and transition to a new development language. You know, try learning a language like Python, Java, C Sharp, or go do your research, find out what's in demand currently. What is paying the most money? What can you learn? quickly. And then I would go and start training on that. When I started almost 30 years ago, I was certified in Novell and Lotus Notes. Those two technologies don't even exist anymore. They're gone, gone forever, never coming back. And I don't know what's going to happen with Salesforce developers, but if you're seeing a trend where they're offering you half of what you used to make, that's not going to come back anytime soon, if you ask me. I think there's a glut of tech workers right now out there looking for work. So if I was you, what I would do is sharpen your sword and just buckle down, re-educate yourself on a new technology and get some new skills under your belt and start applying for different jobs. That's my personal opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Hey, if you like this channel, please comment below. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, where you thought I was correct, where you thought I was incorrect. If I said anything that, was definitely wrong, let me know. Anyhow, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it.